Recorded live with little or no editing. It's Defense Up. I'm Run 7. How you doing? Today we're going to be going over Diesel. Now, this was a defense that was given to me by Diesel's friend, Magik. So I don't know if Diesel even knows that they're being graded or not, but Magik wanted them to be graded. So we're going to do this. If you have a defense that you want to have featured on Defense Up, the links are in the description. Be sure to contact me. Or if you have an alliance mate who is really upsetting you by doing stupid things in defense, please send their defense my way. I'll be sure to rip them apart. All right, team number 1, we grade on 5 different criteria. It's who you're using, their placement, their power levels, their ISOs, and what kind of mood I'm in. This is a Doc Ock Sinister 6. I really hate this team on defense, but this one's built up pretty well. So Diesel has Rhino adjacent to Doc Ock for that cleanse. That's a good thing. Let's see. Mysterio is built up big enough. He's not going to die right off the bat. Although I like Mysterio as a striker rather than a skirmisher. He calls for assist. And if somebody else is a skirmisher, then he'll get the double tap. Also, his basic is, I think, clearing positive effects. So having him a striker and going into vulnerables is a good thing. Yeah, I don't like Striker over here on, what is this guy's, not Scream, is it Scream? Whatever this guy's name is, I can't remember. I don't put any thought into these guys anymore. He should be either a Raider or a Skirmisher. She's a Raider or a Skirmisher. He's a Striker or a Skirmisher. I definitely like Striker better though. Healer, of course, over here, and I like Raider on Rhino. Rhino is pretty thick and doesn't die that fast. Unless you're making sure he stays alive, I don't really see. I think he's close enough. I think you should switch him over to a Raider to get even more vulnerables on the field, or Mysterio as a striker to work off of. However, you're in the ballpark with these ISOs, and they are war ready, so it may not be worth it to change your investment. You might consider putting, well, I think, yeah, you got Mysterio here because you don't want him dying early against a symbiote team. Yeah, this is okay. You're doing a lot of things right. I would like ISO changes. And I think this team is still going to fold pretty easy to a lot of stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna give you a B- for this. Get those ISOs changed, but honestly, use this team on offense or break them up and use Doc Ock on hybrid defenses. You could use Rhino with the X Factor to go into those Doom Brotherhood teams. You could use Mysterio on a Villain Tech defense. Yeah, I think there's better things to be doing with some of these. These guys probably just end up going in the bench, you know, for right now. It's unfortunate, but they just didn't hold up as well as they should have. Okay, team number 2 is an Emmarauder team with Surfer. Surfer is a dangerous member to this team. He doesn't exactly have any kind of synergy really with this team, but he's somebody to put in place of Sabretooth. He's going to be pretty fast and doing a lot of damage and ability blocking and stuff like that. So, you know, he could work. I think that's probably a better person to put in against like an Emmarauder, or not, against the Shadowlands coming into this team. But really the Emmarauder team is starting to have so many counters that most of us are just breaking the team apart and using the pieces elsewhere. I don't have a good use for Sinister yet. Strife as a fortifier is correct. Emma healer, that's correct. Skirmisher on her, that's probably correct. If you're building this team and you really want to use the Emmarauders, I think that you should stop with Mystique at gear tier 12. I don't think she needs to be any higher than that. A level 5 Skirmisher is probably better. That way she is clearing those positive effects, stealing those positive effects, giving him over to Sinister, letting him do his thing. Server, I just think Server's better used on other hybrids, but this isn't bad. I'm not going to dock you for it. It's not bad. Also, I think Server's better as a Raider. I think, especially on defense. On offense, Striker. On defense, Raider. Because on offense, you get to figure out where he's attacking and using that Striker to come back into vulnerables and steal positive effects and whatnot. When the AI is running it, you're better off just going with the increased damage output of the Raider, throwing out more vulnerables and stuff like that. The number one thing I think you should do with this team is probably just break it up, use the pieces elsewhere. But as is, you're doing fine. I'm going to give you an A- for this. Nothing really wrong here. Also, you could probably do a placement swap and put Emma next to Strife. That way Sinister can keep those deflects, evades, things like that, and spread them to the rest of the team a little bit better. Okay, moving on. Team number 3. Here's an Uncanny team. I think that you are a perfect candidate for building up Magik. Your team is really close to being very effective, and Magik will make this a great offensive team. It works great against blowing up Mercs. It works great against blowing up that Inhumans Coulson defense that we see all the time. It's a very good mid-range utility team. Putting Magik on it makes it so much more effective. Remember, when you put Magik on it, you want to make sure that your Storm is built up and very strong. Storm needs to survive. I'm finding it's more about making sure Storm can do what she needs to do with all those extra charges early on, rather than being able to have Dark Phoenix survive. Because honestly, I have yet to resummon Dark Phoenix. It's never happened for me since Magik came out, and I built her up on day one. And my Phoenix, either the team loses or my first Dark Phoenix is still on the field, or even sometimes Jean Grey is still on the field and hasn't even died yet. So really, it's about keeping Storm alive. So you'll take Wolverine off and put him with Weapon X, of course. That's where Magik will go. You'll want a placement change, either swapping places with Cyclops and Jean Grey, or maybe putting Colossus to the outside with Jean Grey next to him. I need to play around with that. If you guys have a preference on placement, let me know what your placement preference is on the Magik Uncanny version. Without Magik, this is a fine team. It's a good place to put it on defense while maybe you're building up Magik for this or something like that. And having Wolverine in here, he's got great synergy with his team. After his rework, he's doing a lot of damage. I think you should change Wolverine to a striker, both on this team and the next, the Weapon X team. That way he hits those vulnerables, comes back into him with his assist, and it gives him speed up. And he'll get to his ultimate that much faster and just delete an MFer. Raiders, Striker's fine. Remember, her ISOs don't carry over to Dark Phoenix, so it doesn't matter so much. I do kind of like going like a skirmisher on her. If you're somebody else, don't change this Diesel. You're fine with Striker for just a set damage boost. Let's see, Raider on Cyclops is okay. You can also do Striker for a standard damage increase. And then Fortifier on Colossus is all right. If you start putting the T4s in Colossus, I recommend you change that over to a Skirmisher because of all the counters. He comes back and applies more vulnerables, really helps out. Although, you only have one Striker on this team, which is Phoenix, and she's going to be dying. So really, the vulnerables on the field is just so that you have a 10% damage from all the rest of the people, or maybe clearing effects or something. So yeah, maybe Skirmisher isn't really the way to go, depending on this. Maybe make him a Striker if you want, but I don't think you should change any of these ISOs. They're good enough and not worth the investment of changing them. But those are some ideas for you. Remember, Magik is going to be a Striker, but early on, probably go with a Fortifier, like War-Ready Fortifier, if you can spare the ISOs, because she is pretty squishy until you get all those stars on her, and I'm not spending my hard-earned money to build her up that big just yet. Hopefully she'll become farmable soon. Who knows? Maybe she'll be a legendary unlock character and we'll get her farmable real soon. I don't know. For me, this is a solid B team. Maybe even a B+. You're not doing anything too wrong. Just, you could tweak ISOs. You could tweak some placement. But honestly, it's a good filler defense team until you get Magik and put them on offense. Team number 4, Fantastic Four with She-Hulk. Let's put She-Hulk in the middle. The reason you want her in the middle is so that when people come in with negative effects, the splash damage goes on to other members of the Fantastic Four. That puts charges on She-Hulk, and she will get rid of those negative effects that much faster. So have her adjacent to 2 members of the Fantastic Four. Personally, I like Johnny and Mr. Fantastic to the outside. They're the squishiest of the group. And then you have Sue and Thing to the wing position, and then you put She-Hulk in the center. That's probably your best positioning. I like Sue as a skirmisher. Healer is a secondary pick. What I like to see is 2 skirmishers, 2 strikers. This team calls lots of assists, and you get combos that way. Right now, you have 1 person putting out vulnerables and 2 strikers soaking them up. So if you want to keep it like that, consider going 2.3 skirmisher with Mr. Fantastic. So he's putting out the double vulnerables and not making your strikers 2.3. That way they only soak up 1 at a time. That's a trick you can do to get more vulnerables on the field with less people as skirmishers. However, on this team, that's a terrible investment. That's just, you're over investing going that high. I mean, if you're maybe end game player in a top 100 alliance, okay, sure, go nuts. But if that's the case, you probably would have made Invisible Woman a skirmisher to begin with. And you probably wouldn't be sending me your roster because you'd already know how to get yourself into a top 100 alliance. Anyways, for me, this is like a B-. I really want that placement change most of all. I do think it is valuable having her as a skirmisher, but you already put a lot of investment into her. I understand if you don't want to bother changing it. This team isn't all that great. You could invest in it. The team it's being used at the high end of the game. But it's tough. It's an older team. Rumors have it that we're getting a rework to She-Hulk sometime in 2022. But the rumors are that almost every character in the game is getting reworked in 2022. Although, you know what's strange? I've only heard one person say that there is definitely a hand rework, which is the only team that hasn't been reworked since the birth of this. Okay, team number 5. Let's go. Oh, wow. Okay. This is an offensive build. Hela Zemo is an offensive team. Get Hela and Loki off this team. They're not doing you any good. Instead, replace them with some more minions, or you could put in Winter Soldier since we have to build him up. He's a total turd, but we have to build him, so you could use him here. I like the minions personally. I like more minions. You got Grenadier in here. I would go with like Hydra Sniper or Trooper, and then Hydra Guard for that taunt is probably the way to go. But she's a liability. This just opens it up to those speed meta teams to come in and crush this. Zemo's going to do damage against those, so you would be punching across to make it happen. You wouldn't be doing a punch up. But the speed meta team's just going to allow you to get in here and destroy that. Plus, you've only got 50% damage reduction on Red Skull, and he's not built up big enough to hang with the rest of this power level going on in here. So, yeah, I mean, it's still a fast team. Don't get me wrong. Zemo's blown it up, ability block, and then he's given some speed meter to everybody else. Hela is spreading negative effects, but I would just come in with like, I'd probably bring in like my symbiotes and replace one of them with Captain Marvel so she can just clip off Greg right off the bat. And then my team's gonna have the speed to hang with this team and they'll just crush it. So I don't like that in there. I think it's a total waste. I think what you should do is take this team off of defense and use them on offense, because this is a great offensive build right here. This is the exact Hela Zemo offense, you know, the Hela Hydra. Let's see. Otherwise, your ISOs are fantastic. Go ahead and take Zemo to Skirmisher 5. It's pointless to have him Skirmisher 4. The reason for taking him for making him Skirmisher is for the focus boost, and you don't get that until you get to Skirmisher level 5. So build him up there, and then make these other two war ready, and then use the team on offense. For me, this is like a D+. It's a waste of a really good offensive team. Team number 6. New Warriors with Shuri and Ghost. Okay, Shuri is going to give the defense up on spawn to the rest of these guys. That way, if they do get hit, they don't die. That's a pretty good build. Also, you're hoping that the energy from Shuri goes to Dagger, letting her ult right away. If that works just like that, then eventually Ghost is going to pop off her ult and prolong all those negative effects. That's really cool. It's okay. This is something to do with your new Warriors. There's other builds that are probably better, but this is a really solid build, and I don't think it's anything wrong. Probably put a little bit. Oh, I see. You just need some stars in this bottom row is all. You're doing good in here with the gear tiers, and let's see, Striker, Skirmisher. That's fine. Striker on Shuri is an interesting choice, I think, because she only has one move that's an attacking move. I think, right? It's just her basic, isn't it? I don't remember. Healer for Shuri, though. For sure, for Shuri needs to be a healer. And then Ghost as a striker is fine. You have technically like 2.5 people putting out vulnerables with Dagger and Cloak putting it out both with their kits, and then Cloak putting more out there with him as a skirmisher. Also make him level 5 skirmisher for sure. That extra focus boost to make sure all of those negative effects land. That's really a big deal. Yeah, so this is good. There's other things you can do and tinker, but this is a fine build. I'm gonna go ahead and give you an A for that. Nothing wrong there. Oh, nope, I'm sorry. A-. Dagger gives offense up to adjacent tunes, so you need to swap places. You need a big placement swap. You're going to go Shuri, Ghost, then Death Pool, then Dagger, and then Cloak is how you're going to go in your placement. So that's A-. Get that placement swap. Team 7, Eternals with Who Cares? If it's not a speed meta, then who cares who you put with the Eternals? Doesn't seem to change the outcome anyways. It's just going to be somebody coming back into these Eternals with a slightly faster Eternals. Yeah, these guys are just going to get devastated turn 1 by somebody else's Eternals. Doesn't really matter. I think you should be using the Wave 1 as a traditional Wave 1 team with Wave 1 and Wave 1 filler people like Heimdall or Captain Marvel has some synergy with this team with the meta or with the military tag and Captain America. Honestly, it doesn't matter who you put with your Eternals. It just needs to be somebody that either alters their speed or has a turn 1 taunt to draw some attacks or something. That's the only real difference when it comes to Eternals right now. So for me, this is kind of a waste of one defensive team right here. And I think at the beginning of your roster, you had some room for a good defense. So I think you should split this up into 2 teams for sure. Skirmisher Striker, that's fine. Make sure you get her up to at least level 5 Skirmisher for the focus boost. She is worth the investment, both the Eternals. You should just go ahead and max out. I think they're great candidates for Gear Tier 16. Probably when it comes to Gear Tier 16, though, in my opinion, you should wait until you have 5 members ready for Dark Dimension 5, and then you apply all 5 members at the same time, because you never know when we're going to have better tunes as candidates for Dark Dimension 5. But honestly, don't race for Dark Dimension 5. Scopely will push you through that anyway. Healer, Striker. No, I like Raider on the Wave 1 team. And I am kind of grading this for 2 separate teams here because it doesn't matter what these guys are. They're going to die in the opening of an Eternals battle. Gear Tier 15 over here. That's good. You could take these guys on their Wave 1 team. You could take them to Gear Tier 14. Remember, the jump from 13 to 14 is way, way better than the jump from 12 to 13. 12 to 13 gives you something like 3 to 5% increase in stats, and 13 to 14 gives you something like 20% increase in stats. So that's if you're gonna go past 12, you might as well go to 14, in my opinion. Okay, I think this is a waste of one whole team for sure. So I'm gonna give you a C for this. Get the Wave 1 Avengers on their own separate team, put something else, some filler junk in there, maybe put an Emma or an Emma Loki in here, speed it up, whatever. Let's move along here. Team number 8, Heroes for Hire. We got Raider, Striker, Healer. No, Luke Cage should be a Fortifier. Skirmisher on Misty Knight and Healer on Iron Fist. I like Iron Fist better as a Skirmisher, so he applies a Vulnerable. Also, Luke Cage needs to be to one side, and at this power level, Shang-Chi is far away from Luke Cage. So I think it should be going Shang-Chi, Calling Wing, Misty Knight, Iron Fist, and then Luke Cage. And you should change Luke Cage to a Fortifier, change Iron Fist to a Skirmisher. Although the difference in what you're going to get out of that Skirmisher on Iron Fist is pretty negligible. You've already got him built up enough. Just leave him as a healer. But Luke Cage for sure, change him to a Fortifier. You're going to get a lot more value out of that extra barrier. He's dying and reviving. Makes it a lot tougher for those Infinity Watch teams to get through him. Not so much the Weapon X team, because they'll just bleed him out and he's just going to lose charges and die. So, but the Infinity Watch team, that definitely requires the Fortifier there for that. The placement's crap, the ISOs are and your power levels are fine. If you want to make this team better, the one you should invest in is Shang-Chi. Make him a lot bigger. I'm going to give you a B for this. It's not terrible, but that placement change for sure is doesn't cost you anything for the placement change. You're going to get a lot more value out of that. Okay, moving on. Team number 9 looks like a garbage filler team. You took Ghost off of this team and put Drax in here. Drax doesn't add hardly any value to this at all. I mean, all that's going to happen is you're going to have taunts bouncing around. It doesn't matter that you have these guys called as Skirmishers because they are not assisting anybody because Ghost isn't on this team. You know, at this level of investment in here, you might consider putting Ghost back on this team. Yeah, I think it's going to be better than Drax. You could use Drax elsewhere. Heck, where were you using that? Where were you using? You were using Ghost someplace, weren't you? Or am I thinking of a different one? Okay. Yeah. Put Drax on this team. That's actually a better fit because then they can't attack into these new warriors. There is a small window of time you can get in here to ability block or just outright kill one of these new warrior people and keep Cloak from putting all those blinds out on the field. You put Drax in here instead, you're negating that. Like there's nothing anybody can do. Plus Drax will be getting defense down from Shuri. I don't remember. Does Drax spawn with defense down? I think he does. I don't remember. Been a while. But yeah, Drax is going to be a better fit here than Ghost because Ghost's ultimate happens so late in the game that they've usually either died or shrugged off most of the negative effects from this team. So I think you should take her and put her back on her Pym Tech team. Where were we? Yeah, put her back on the Pym Tech team right here. And then your placement is going to be Stature, Ghost, Yellow Jacket, then Wasp, then Ant-Man. Your ISOs are correct otherwise, so that would be an A if you did that. As is, yeah, I don't think Drax is doing you any good here, so I'm just going to give you a B+ for this. It's a junk filler team, and you're not wasting anything because you can just swap those two characters around in those teams and probably do a lot better. Okay, team number 10. Here's... Wow, okay, that's a big Fury. Okay, you know what's cool about this team? It's kind of a troll team, because a speed meta team like X-Men or Symbiotes would do fantastic against this. Would really crush this team. But who wants to waste those two, awesome teams on this? So this is kind of cool. I like this, actually. There's lots of synergies, old latent synergies from older players. They understand how this old team works. You know what? I haven't seen this in a long time, but the Coulson Fury with S.H.I.E.L.D. members is kind of going to make a comeback. What I would like to see, however, let's do a placement swap. We want to go, okay, so your shield guard is going to be on one side, and then you're going to go Assaulter. No, you're going to go Assaulter and then Medic and then Coulson and then Fury, and then make Fury a Raider so he crits on his basic, giving Coulson the energy so Coulson can do more of his big maneuvers faster. Excuse me. Yeah, Raider here, Healer here, and Fortifier here. Yeah, let's get a placement swap, and I could give you an A for this team, believe it or not. It's such an old team. That's what happens. These older teams like Hydra 1.0 and Asgardians, they start making a comeback because of, the counters that we have for them are either too big, too small, or being used for other things. And so we're putting these older teams out there to soak that stuff up or frustrate people with those. You don't want to use your 800k symbiotes on a 500k Asgardians. You don't want to use your 400 X-Men on this team because for a fact you're going to win and you could use that X-Men for something more important. So I like that this is here. I just want you to change that placement to get more value. And then this one ISO, change him to a Raider. So when he crits, he gives out, he crits more often and gives that energy to Coulson. So yeah, not bad. I'm going to give you a B for that. Just whatever you do, don't use Coulson on that Secret Avenger team. Oh my God, don't do that. That's a waste of a Secret Avenger team. Not Coulson, Fury. Don't use Fury on the Secret Avengers. Okay, this has been Diesel's Defense Up episode. I already plugged this, so you know where to go and what to do. Remember, guys, don't just have a good game, be good to yourselves and others too, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.